welcome to the show. Today, we are going to be talking about all things protein, plant-based options, another option that is not plant-based, cricket flour, which we'll get to toward the end, and also some of the benefits of protein, a little bit of background about protein. But first, I want to address one thing from last week. Last week's episode was all about hydration, and somebody had asked if I was familiar with liquid 4, which I was not. So I did some research, and it's a powdered electrolyte solution that you can put in water, sort of like Emergency or like the Noon tablets. So they asked what I thought about it, and it has lots of good electrolytes in it, but it also has sugar. The first ingredient was sugar, so I would say try to get your electrolytes from other things like coconut water, and kind of, limit your amount of use of products like that with added sugar. So thank you for bringing that up. And as always, please feel free to put questions and comments in the stream chat. I'm always happy to answer them, or if you have ideas for next episode or episodes down the road, I'm always open for suggestions. So let's start talking about protein. So just a broad overview. There are 3 macronutrients that we consume in all of our foods: carbohydrate, protein, fat. So everything we eat has one or all of those in it. And we tend to, so if you have a high protein diet, that means the carb and the fat are going to be lower. If you have a high carb diet, your protein and your fat are going to be lower. There's always the up and down balance, because those percentages always have to equal 100%. So some people like high protein diets, and those diets tend to be lower in carbs. So we'll go into that a little bit more as to what the recommendations are for how much protein you should be getting every day, and what percentage of protein, carb, fat, all that kind of stuff. So today's definitely going to be all about protein. We can talk carb and fat other weeks if people are interested in that topic as well. I'm always excited to talk about all of these things, so let me know if you're interested. So let's see. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to do a couple of recipes, one with cricket powder and one with energy bites with plant-based proteins. So let's start talking about the benefits of protein. So we all know, everybody talks about, we need to be getting enough protein, but here are the reasons why. So first off, our hair and our nails are made of protein. So to keep those healthy, we need to have a good amount of protein in our diet. Protein also helps builds and repairs tissues in our body. It makes enzymes and hormones, which are important for all of our normal bodily functions. And protein is the building block of muscle, cartilage, skin, and blood. So it really is the center of who we are. Our cells is protein. So it's very important to have a good amount in our diet, and for it to be good quality protein in our diet too. So proteins are made, they're long chains of amino acids. And there are 20 amino acids, 9 of which are essential, which means we have to get those from our food, and 11 which are non-essential, and our body is able to make those. So it is in food too, but it's not necessary to get from our food. So some proteins give our cells and our tissues the rigidity, like our skin, our hair, our nails, our bones, our tendons, our ligaments. Some proteins regulate the pH in our body, which we discussed pH last week, that 0 to 14 are the amounts of, or numbers of pH. So the lower the pH, the more acidic; the higher the pH, the more basic or alkaline. And our blood is typically 7.4, so it's kind of right in the middle. And so protein is important because it helps regulate that pH, keep it right in that middle balance. Proteins also supply us with lots of energy to keep the body moving. And protein also helps keep our immune system strong. It helps transport and store nutrients in our cells. So lots of great things that protein gives us. So amounts. So typically, like if you're kind of if you exercise regularly, but you're not training for a marathon or Ironman or any sort of extreme exercising, just like regular exercise, eat a pretty normal healthy diet, then they say you can calculate the amount that you should be getting. It's a little bit less than you would think by multiplying 0.36 by your body weight. So, or per pound of your body weight. So let's say you weigh 150 pounds, multiply that by 0.36 equals 54 grams of protein. So not quite as much as you would think, but still a good amount. So that's just kind of a rule of thumb, 0.36 times number of pounds that you are. So there's that. And just a little background, 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. 1 gram of carb is 4 calories. 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So that's just something to think about too. So let's say, so this is the recommendation for how much carb, protein, and fat to be getting. It's a big range, depending on what your values are and what your energy needs are and all of that. But percentage-wise, carbohydrates, your diet should be between 45 and 65% carb. Protein should be between 10 and 30%. And fat should be about 25 to 35%. So I made up a little sample. So if you're eating 2,000 calorie diet and you want 50% carbs, you should be getting 250 grams of carbs. If you want 20% of protein, that's 100 grams of protein, which is kind of a lot. 30% fat would be 67 grams of fat. So that's just a sample. You can always, calculate it different ways. I used to work in nutrition research, and sometimes the doctors that were doing the study would say, okay, I want it to be 30% protein. So then you have to calculate the carb and the fat and all that. So 20% protein is kind of a high, because 100 grams of protein is a lot to get in a day. So maybe more like 10, maybe more like 15% of your calories. So that's just an example. So let's talk about plant-based protein sources. I know that I had a request from my friend Ruth to talk about plant-based protein sources that weren't soy, which is great for me because I don't eat soy as well. So I have lots of examples, and then we have one that is not plant-based, which is cricket flour, and I want to talk about that because it's a good addition to adding protein to your diet. So plant-based protein sources that are not soy. Soy is good. It is good plant-based protein, but some people don't eat it. Lentils. Lentils have a great amount of protein. 1 cup of cooked lentils has 18 grams of protein, which that's a lot. That's a good amount. And as we've talked about before, lentils may help reduce the risk of heart disease, and they may help grow the good bacteria in our intestines. So that's a good one. Next one, nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is one of my favorite ingredients. It's one of those, like the first time you try it, you're like, I'm not sure about this, but you kind of start to crave it after a little while. As you can see, my Trader Joe's example of nutritional yeast. And nutritional yeast is so good. And you can put on popcorn. You can put it on salad or salad dressings. You can make like a cheese sauce with it because it has kind of like a cheesy, nutty flavor to it. It's so good. And an ounce of nutritional yeast, which is about 6 tablespoons. So you might not be eating 6 tablespoons of it, but just as an example, an ounce of it has 14 grams of protein and 7 grams of fiber. And it has B12, especially if you're eating a plant-based diet and you're not getting a lot of B12 in your diet. This is a great chance. And protein. So keep that in mind. You can make salad dressings with it too. So, nutritional yeast. Remember that. Spelt and teff. Remember we talked about spelt and teff on the week that we talked about ancient and whole grains. So 1 cup of cooked spelt and 1 cup of cooked teff both have 10 to 11 grams of protein, and that's a lot for a grain. Teff is those tiny, tiny, tiny grains that we discussed, and it's the smallest grain in the world, and it's used in a lot of, it's used in Ethiopian cooking. That bread that that the food is served on top of, that you tear off and eat the food with, that is made with teff. But you can also cook teff in other ways, kind of like rice, or you can add it to stir fries or salads or whatever. And spelt is another form of wheat, which you can make salads with that too, or all kinds of stuff. So spelt, teff, great protein sources. Hemp seed, another one. Let's see, what is the amount? Oh, there are 10 grams of protein per ounce of hemp seeds, and it is also a complete protein, which sometimes it's difficult to find complete proteins in plant-based foods. Typically, you find that more in meat items or animal products, but hemp seed is a good source of that. So also smoothies, salads. That does have kind of an earthy flavor. I think there's a little bit of a tipping point of how much hemp seed you want to put in things, but I used to put them in smoothies. I don't currently have any in our house right now, but I have added that to smoothies, and they're good. Spirulina, we talked about that also on the whole grain week, because I made popcorn with spirulina sprinkled on it. Spirulina, it's a blue-green algae. It's like a very, very pretty green powder. And 2 tablespoons has 8 grams of protein and 22% of your daily value of iron, which that's amazing. So keep spirulina in mind. 2 tablespoons is kind of a lot to have in one sitting, but maybe you'd have 1 tablespoon sprinkled on popcorn, or made a dressing with it, like a seafood salad, or seaweed salad, or any kind of salad. You can make a good dressing with the spirulina. So something to keep in mind. I made your spirulina popcorn. Oh, good. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, I know. It's just, that combination is so good. And I really do have my friend Susan to thank for giving me that idea of mixing the spirulina and curry and garlic powder and salt. So good. I'm so glad that you tried it, Lisa. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, 2 more whole grains. So amaranth, which we also discussed, and quinoa. Amaranth kind of looks like millet, just like those small little grains. And quinoa, most of us are familiar with quinoa. 1 cup of cooked has 8 to 9 grams of protein, and those are also complete proteins, which is great to get, and has a nice earthy flavor. So amaranth, quinoa. Another good one is Ezekiel bread, which is made, it's bread, you've probably seen it at the store. It's made from sprouted grains and legumes. It's really good. I find that it tastes better for me if I toast it. But it is a good source of protein as well. Hola, Mercedes! Yay, you're here! Welcome to the show. Oats. We talked about overnight oats. You can always have other forms of oats as well. But oats are a good source of protein. Half a cup of dry oats gives you 6 grams of protein, 4 grams of fiber. Prebiotic, probiotic talk that we talked about the overnight oats, but you can also see my recipe on my Instagram. Wild rice has 1.5 times more protein than regular long grain white rice or brown rice. So I just bought some wild rice last week, and I put it in a salad, and it was so good. 1 cup has about 7 grams of protein. So also good to keep in mind. Let's see what else. Oh, chia seeds. You know, it's my favorite. It's my favorite to talk about. Chia seeds, let's see, 1.25 ounces, which is about 2.5 tablespoons, has 6 grams of protein and about 10 grams of fiber. So great addition to the diet, especially protein. Now, you wouldn't think that, like, all these things kind of add up too. You know, you use the chia seed, you use the spirulina, you use the nutritional yeast. And all of that adds up to like a good amount of protein. So always good to keep in mind. Nut butters and nuts, that's kind of a given. One of our recipes today has walnuts in it. Walnuts and chia seeds. duckweeds, which is kind of an up and coming protein source. My friend Tennille, she's a naturopathic doctor, and she was mentioning that the other day that if you look at a lot of protein powders, especially in those like super greens, you'll find that duckweeds is a new, it's not new in the world, but new in the nutrition world, I guess, as a source of protein. So keep your eye out for that. And pea protein powder, which not everybody can have, but because some people are allergic to peas, like our friend's son is allergic to peas, so this is not a discussion topic for them. But those of you looking for another protein powder to add to smoothies or cooking is pea protein powder. It's made from yellow peas, and it is a great source of protein and iron. And they have found that it may help reduce the risk of heart disease and cholesterol. And it's just a good addition to smoothies. I typically don't buy protein powders because a lot of times they have sugar added to them and all kinds of other additives. So if you're looking for like a pure protein powder, pea protein powder is a good option because it's just peas. So something to keep in mind. So those are all the plant-based sources of protein ideas that I had for today. Next, I want to talk about cricket powder, which I know Claudia said that they have cricket powder. Let's see, here we go, cricket powder. And it is literally made of just pureed crickets. And it is a great source of protein. So this cricket powder, 1 1/3 tablespoon, gives you 8 grams of protein. And crickets, I'll tell you, crickets and other insects like grasshoppers, we often go to, there's a Mexican restaurant up the street from us that has the grasshopper tacos and the chapulín tacos. And it's just grasshoppers that have been like soaked in lime juice and chili powder. So sad, and we love Beyond Meat products. Oh yeah, those have, the Beyond Meat has pea protein in it, doesn't it? Oh yeah, it is disappointing because it is such a great addition. But maybe they'll start making some without pea protein. That would be good. Back to cricket flour. So cricket flour is high in B12, potassium, calcium, iron, magnesium, selenium, which is an antioxidant, protein, and fatty acids. And insect protein is better for the environment because they require less land and less water compared to other animals like cattle, and they produce less greenhouse gases, and they are just an easy, quick way to get protein. So chapulín, grasshopper tacos, try them. Cricket powder, cricket flour, same thing, is something that you can add to your recipes. So it's not a one-to-one substitution for like regular wheat flour, but it's something you can add. Like I was looking at a banana bread recipe the other day, and you used kind of the same usual ingredients of banana bread, but then you added 1/4 of a cup of the cricket powder and add so much protein. It's great. So we're going to make a smoothie with cricket powder, and I'll let you know how it tastes. But you can add cricket powder to banana bread, like I said, to pancakes, to protein bites. We're going to make some protein bites today, and smoothies. It's just a great addition, and it's easy. I got it on Amazon, and there were so many different brands. What is the name of the restaurant to get the cricket tacos? Got to try that. Oh, it's called Mixteca, and it's in Burien. And I think it's called Mixteca. I'll look up the name and how to spell it because it's so good. It's a Oaxacan restaurant. They have really good mole, and these tacos are so good. So I will look that up because I recommend everybody goes there, and I'm sure you can get takeout from there right now. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Oh yeah, I have a couple more good things to say about crickets. There was a study done, and they found, I'll tell you what they did in the study. Well, I'll tell you what they did in the study first. So they took 20 volunteers, and half of them ate a cricket-based breakfast, like muffins or smoothies or whatever, and half of them ate just like a regular breakfast. Probably the same things, but without the cricket flour in them. And they did this for 2 weeks. Then they went back to regular diet for 2 weeks. And then they went back, and the people that had the crickets ate regular diet people ate the crickets. And they found that when they were eating crickets, that the good bacteria in their intestines was of higher quantity, and they had reduced inflammation. So there's that. In addition to it just being high in protein, there were also some other benefits. So something to keep in mind. So let's make a cricket smoothie and then some protein bites. So cricket smoothie. Let's move back here. All right. I'll give this recipe tomorrow as well on my Instagram. I just made it up, so I'll post it. So we're gonna do bananas. 1 cup of frozen bananas. So sometimes I buy bananas and nobody in our house eats them, and then sometimes they eat them all in one sitting. So when I have them, so in this case, I bought bananas and nobody ate them. So I just broke them into pieces and put them in the freezer because I hate throwing them away. So freezer, and they're great for smoothies, especially the frozen ones. Then you don't have to use other frozen fruits or ice cubes or anything. So 1 cup bananas. So that was about like 1.5 bananas. 1 orange, fresh orange. 1/4 of a cup of almonds, just raw almonds. And let's see, the star ingredient, a tablespoon of cricket powder. I don't know why I closed that. Okay. Tablespoon of cricket powder. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. And then a cup of almond milk, but you can always use any kind of milk that you want. But that's typically what I use, or water. But if you used a dairy milk, like goat milk or cow's milk, you would get some more protein, since we are talking protein today. Hi, Myra. Maybe I can get the boys to have a smoothie since I can tell them it has crickets, especially yes, I know. It's such a fun, thing to put in smoothies. And it just like makes it even cooler, I think. So I put about a cup of almond milk. But yeah, let me know, Myra, if you make this smoothie, and tell me what the boys say. Because I think it's fun. So there we go. Excuse the loud noise. The blender? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Okay, let's test this out. And then we'll make some protein bites. Okay, let me put this in the sink, excuse me. I was also reading something about pasta made with cricket flour, so I don't know. It's really good. You can't taste it. You really can't taste it at all. Hey, Kelly. I'd love to add some protein to our weekly banana muffins. Very curious about the taste. I just put 1 tablespoon in here, and you can't taste it at all. So I recommend it. I got it on Amazon. This bag, I think this bag was $10, which I think could last a while. But there were all kinds of brands and such. So I recommend it. I really recommend it. Okay, protein bites. This is a very open-ended recipe. I have everything here. So we have walnuts. Well, I'll just tell you as I go, because we are I'm running out of time. It just goes so quickly. Okay, so I'm going to make this in the food processor just because it's easier to blend everything, but you could probably make it in a blender too. So I have 1 cup of raw walnuts. Do we have another comment? It is cricket powder. Okay, yes. Cricket powder, thank you. And 6 dates. Mercedes, these are your dates that you gave us. These are fresh dates, and I took the pit out, so 6 of those. 1 tablespoon chia seeds. You know how I love those. Oh, yes, thank you for the link. And 1 tablespoon coconut oil, coconut oil. 1 tablespoon coconut oil. 1/8 of a teaspoon cinnamon. And a pinch of salt, just a little pinch. Oops, I don't think any of that salt came out. Okay, and then you just put that in the food processor and pulse for a little bit. Until it starts to kind of come together. And if it feels like it's not coming together quite enough, you can always add more coconut oil. But then this I'd probably blend just a little bit longer, but for the sake of time, I'll show you. So then all of this, once you have it blended, you just take it and form it into little energy bite balls, like that, and you put them on a plate. And then you can use any kind of nuts. I use cashews a lot. We have walnuts at home right now. So put them on a plate or a tray or anything like that, and then put it in the freezer. I usually keep ours in the freezer or the refrigerator because, especially if it's warm out, they tend to just not hold together quite as well. But refrigerator or freezer, I really recommend doing that. And then it's just such a quick and easy recipe to make for on-the-go, high-protein snacking. So, I like your little dishes. Oh, thanks. I know. I had a food blog years ago, and I bought all kinds of dishes for all the pictures. So then I used them all. And those little dishes are especially fun. I bought those in New York when I visited my friend. I'm going to look up the restaurant so I can share that with everybody. Okay, it's called Taqueria Casa Mixteca, which is Mixteca. Mixteca. It's in Burien. It's really good. Their tamales are good. Everything's good. But the grasshopper tacos are one of my favorites. That's what I always order. Let's see. What else? I think I've answered everybody's questions. So yeah, these energy bites. So anyway, back to that. I put chia seeds. You could also put flax meal. It's very open-ended. I put cinnamon. You don't have to. Sometimes I put vanilla extract in it. You don't have to. Instead of the coconut oil, you could use nut butters or peanut butter. You just have to kind of find the consistency that you like. But the formula that I use today tends to be really good. And then I put them in, and then I give them to our son, or we take them on hikes, and it's just like a fun snack to have. Oh, here's the rest. Oh, good. Thanks for adding that, Lisa. Yes, I recommend everybody try it. So, bottom line, lots of protein-based, or plant-based proteins that we talked about today. Nutritional yeast, lentils, hemp seeds, teff, spelt, quinoa, oats, wild rice, and duckweeds. Look for that in protein powders. Pea protein powder. And the non-plant-based star item today is the cricket flour. So try them out. Let me know. Come back next week and tell me what you think, or send me a message on Instagram. I'd love to hear your experiences with all of these ingredients, or come back next week and let me know. So thank you for joining me today. Happy Monday. See you all next week. Have a great week. See you next time. Okay, bye.